Hello and welcome to the Polish Cinema for Beginners podcast show around and about Polish cinema. My name is Pranav, and I've been living in Poland for about 5 years, and I am a beginner in Polish cinema. This episode is about the movie The Double Life of Véronique, the international breakthrough film of Krzysztof Kieślowski, one of the greatest directors in Polish cinema. And for this episode, I am very, very delighted to invite Annette Insdorf, film professor at Columbia University in New York, where she has taught for 40 years now. She's one of the world's leading authorities on European cinema and the author of several books, including a monograph on Kieślowski. Since 1983, she has hosted Real Pieces, a series on films when she's probably interviewed one of your favorite filmmakers or people in film. And she was awarded the special medallion at the Telluride Film Festival for her lifetime contribution to cinema. And I think I could keep going on and on and on about like everything you've done, but I'll stop here. Hello.
Hello, nice to be with you. So I am fortunate for something that you didn't mention, namely that I was Kieślowski's translator from around
Yeah.
1980 till his untimely death in 1996 at the age of 54. We met when his film Camera Buff was shown at the 1980 New York Film Festival, and I was asked to step in at the last minute for a translator who couldn't make it.
Oh,
We,
wow.
yeah, we grew comfortable enough that I later translated for him with Blind Chance at the Cannes Film Festival, with No End at the Telluride Film Festival, and with The Double Life of Véronique everywhere.
Wow.
I must say the audience for his cinema has been growing steadily since his death. Kieślowski's unique combination of cinematic poetry and humanist vision makes his movies inspirational. 21st century viewers continue to engage with the aesthetic richness of his images and soundtracks, as well as Kieślowski's philosophical or perhaps spiritual speculation. He remains a consummate cinematic storyteller who succeeds in using the images of our perceivable world to suggest something beyond it. And this is particularly visible in his Decalogue, those 10 one-hour films loosely based on the Ten Commandments. I hope this audience has seen the Decalogue or will see it. All
Yeah.
10 are set in a Warsaw apartment complex where ordinary people enact dramas of moral choice. In addition to
Hmm.
airing on Polish television in 1989, the Decalogue was hailed as one of the greatest motion pictures of the 20th century. Now, The Double Life of Véronique was a transitional film in 1991, released between his very Polish Decalogue and his quintessentially European Three Colors. It's the first movie he made after the fall of communism. While Poland is the point of departure for the haunting story of two young women, the narrative moves into France. And Kieślowski made this film at a time when the independent American cinema was rising. This was after Soderbergh's Sex, Lies, and Videotape won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, whose jury that year included Kieślowski. One result was the decreasing market for foreign language films. Consequently, Polish directors like Agnieszka Holland, Andrzej Wajda, Krzysztof Zanussi, and Kieślowski were making films outside of Poland in English or French. Kieślowski's movies, though, they question the importance of national boundaries. In The Double Life of Véronique, spiritual ties transcend borders. And because the actress Irene Jacob plays both Véronique and Weronika, the film suggests that destiny has more to do with character than nationality. The Double Life of Véronique begins in 1968, a charged year for France as well as Poland. But you'll see how the focus quickly turns to the very act of looking. The film makes us question what we see and how we see. This is a magnificently reflexive film in every sense of the term. Reflections in glass abound, appropriate to the story of two young women living parallel lives in contemporary France and Poland. And like much of Kieślowski's previous work, It's a gently self-conscious meditation on looking as well as storytelling. In other words, it's about filmmaking.
Yeah.
French-Polish co-production invites the viewer to reflect on the threads that bind us to forces outside ourselves. I love how the producer Leonardo de la Fuente he described it as a metaphysical thriller. A few of Kieślowski's key collaborators from previous films account for its richness. The script was co-written by Krzysztof Kieślowski, a lawyer who worked with Kieślowski beginning with no end, and unfortunately died in May of 2026. The cinematography of Sławomir Ijak renders images, they seem to be bathed in gold.
Yeah.
Look for the luminous yellow filter. I mean, it could have been extended into 4 colors, the trilogy, 4
Yeah.
colors gold. You should note the importance of glass, whether windows or doubling. And the double life of Véronique is unimaginable without the score of Zbigniew Preisner. His sumptuous original music links the two heroines like invisible threads. As in Decalogue 9, Kieślowski invokes Van den Boedenmeijer, a Dutch composer of 200 years ago, but that is a joke, as Van den Boedenmeijer was none other than Zbigniew Preisner. It
Oh,
was his idea, it was his idea to use Dante's poetry in Old Italian as lyrics in composing the music. The intricate sound design required 14 sound engineers. And Preisner won the Los Angeles Film Critics Association Award that year for 3 films: The Double Life of Véronique, Agnieszka Holland's Europa, Europa, and Hector Babenco's At Play in the Fields of the Lord. Now, in casting terms, both heroines are incarnated by a newcomer, Irene Jacob, who, after learning Polish for the movie, won the Best Actress prize at the 1991 Cannes Film Festival.
I didn't know she did that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and by the way, I was there. I celebrated with them in Cannes after this surprising and magnificent awarding.
Wow.
Kieślowski had initially envisioned the American actress Andie MacDowell, having admired her in Sex, Lies, and Videotape. But he
Mhm.
realized that a European performer would be more credible. He screen tested many French actresses, and he finally selected Irene Jacob, partly because of her kindness and shyness. He said, "It's very rare to see timid, reserved people in this business."
Wow.
When she would ask him what a detail meant, he answered, "You tell me, make it simpler."
Hmm.
I was so surprised to learn from Irene Jacob that Kieślowski did very few takes, generally 1 or 2 only. So the film that everyone's about to watch, it explores the theme of the doppelganger, the double, inviting us to discern in the concreteness of details a metaphysical weight, what he called, and I'm quoting, an impression that there must be more beyond what we can see, unquote.
Mm.
That he succeeded can be seen from the fact that the National Society of Film Critics in the United States named The Double Life of Véronique the best film of 1991.
Oh,
And I
wow.
look forward to discussing Kieślowski's poetic masterpiece with you.
So, after this introduction to the film, now's the chance for you, the listener, to pause the episode, go see the film, and come back to us when you're done. If you're not going to be watching the film right now, and if you haven't seen it, the following part will contain spoilers. Miłego seansu. This podcast is a part of Polish Cinema for Beginners, a project by the Wrocław Film Foundation, bringing Polish cinema closer to international audiences. It's co-produced by Academic Radio LUZ, with special thanks to their Department of Culture.
My most recent book is called Cinematic Overtures: How to Read Opening Scenes.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
And what better example than The Double Life of Véronique? If one pays very close attention to the first 2, 3, 4 minutes of the film, you'll be well prepared for how to understand, how to unlock the meaning of the rest. So I'm happy to start with that.
Yes, please, please. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So because I've seen The Double Life of Véronique about 18 times, I can tell you that the opening sequence does present the visual keys to unlock the meaning of the film.
Hmm.
We're in 1968 Poland. The upside down image of a dark street turns out to be the perspective of 2-year-old Weronika.
Hmm.
Polish voiceover of her mother asks her to look at the stars on this winter night, almost Christmas Eve. The
Yeah.
next shot reveals the child pointing up, her mother's hands holding her so that she can see beyond traditional perspective. We cut to 1968 France, where a child's eye dominates the frame. As the magnifying glass is removed from her face, we see that the act of looking is once again the concern of the shot. The
Hmm.
mother's French voiceover invites the child to examine a leaf, and we hear the sound of birds. It's a spring day, which means that the film's first two scenes are not simultaneous. The experiences of the Polish Weronika precede and perhaps prepare for those of the French Véronique.
Yeah.
Both of these opening images connect, both images connect the little girl to the physical universe. And now think of the end of the film. If a leaf is explored at the opening, we leave Veronique placing her hand on a tree in the last scene. As she's
Yeah.
about to see her beloved papa, touching the trunk suggests that her warm and open character is rooted in the affections of a solid father, as
Mhm.
well as an appreciation of terrestrial continuity. In addition to the leaf of the beginning and the tree at the end, Kieślowski, remember how he includes the proliferation of dead leaves when Weronika has a mild heart attack in the street.
Yeah.
And later, Véronique, when she has trouble breathing, she leans against a tree.
Oh,
The unseen mother is the guide at the opening, making her daughter aware of the physical world.
right.
Look, says the mother in both scenes, preparing for how Alexandre will become Veronique's guide to another dimension. Remember, he says to her, look, to
Mhm.
Veronique, about the contact sheet and
Yeah.
metaphorically her double existence.
Yeah.
This is brilliant filmmaking, in my opinion. Now, the audience tries to look at the heroine in the film's third introduction of the title character, but
Hmm.
Kieślowski continues his questioning of sight itself. Because during the credit sequence, the image of the young woman is distorted, as if a magnifying glass were attached to the lens.
Hmm.
The periphery of the frame is fuzzy, as in the France 68 opening. She
Yeah.
seems to be walking in a sunny street and then dropping her music folder. And it kind of makes me wonder, is this a flash forward to the Krakow demonstration scene in which
Yeah.
Weronika drops the folder?
Yeah.
The act of looking is foregrounded because we're not sure of what we are seeing. The adult Weronika is finally presented clearly after the credits,
Hmm.
singing exuberantly outdoors as the rain begins. She
Yeah.
looks upward, as in the first shot, and I have to add the skyward glance will also be her final look. Why? Kieślowski presents Weronika's funeral from the low-angle point of view of the glass-topped coffin.
Hmm.
And whereas the other female young singers behind her cower from the rain, Weronika holds the last note, her smiling face welcoming the raindrops. Seeing her openness to water, we might be reminded of her elemental connections to air and earth as a child. And similarly, when she gets the music score in Krakow, Weronika looks up and welcomes a light shower of orange dust from a ceiling tapped by her ball.
Hmm.
Her elemental ties include fire. It exists not only in the golden tones of the cinematography, but in her own glowing sexuality. In
Yeah.
the scene, she kisses her boyfriend Antek passionately amid the pelting drops and then makes love with him in her apartment.
Yeah.
During the frankly erotic scene, I mean, look, her openness to physicality includes the flesh.
Yeah. Okay.
Weronika looks at a large photo of herself on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
This will be rhymed by the inclusion of a photo of Weronika when Alexandre and Véronique consummate their passion in Paris.
Oh.
So I could go on and on
Mm.
about all the examples of doubling in this film.
Wow.
I mean, it exists on so many levels,
Yeah.
explicit and implicit. Even the shot of Veronika kissing Antek under the bridge at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
it includes their shadows behind them. And you would
Okay.
have to be watching the film for a second time or a third to catch all of these particular resonances. But from the very beginning to the very end of the film, Kieślowski is constantly invoking the double, the other. If he's with Véronique, he invokes Weronika. If he's
Mm.
with Weronika, he prepares for Véronique.
Yeah.
And it's not just
We
both
done.
heroines, they're sensuous with their lovers,
Yeah.
they're affectionate with their kind fathers. And to bring this down to earth, they're prone to rubbing their lower eyelids with a ring.
Yes. I wonder what was that about?
Well, here's what I have learned from Polish friends, because I
Uh-huh.
don't know about this in the United States. If you have a sty,
Yeah.
rubbing a gold ring on it supposedly is what you should
Oh,
do.
I see. Okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah. How many watches did it take? Did you find something new every time you watched it since you've watched it like 18 times?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
Even though I know the film by heart. And by the way, I mean that literally and figuratively. Um, I've memorized most of the dialogue and images, but my heart is so with the film that I mean, this is one of my, I don't know if I had to. Oh no, this is not fair. I can't really narrow things down, but so many of Kieślowski's films are in my top 25.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Three Colors I count as one. The Decalogue I count as one. And the
Mm-hmm.
Life of Véronique is, well, that is definitely a single feature.
Yeah.
And sometimes what I notice now more, because I know the film visually and in terms of dialogue, the
Hmm.
music. Zbigniew Preiser's score is to me one of the most magnificent soundtracks of a motion picture that I have ever heard. I mean, yes, I would go that far.
Yeah.
Da 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 da
Yeah.
da 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 da
You
da
can
da
hear
da.
it as you're humming it.
Now, when the film first came out,
Yeah.
we didn't have CDs. We couldn't tape everything easily. I had audio cassettes, these old-fashioned little, rectangular.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I duped my original audio cassette of the score for
Uh-huh.
about 20 friends. I spent, 2 or 3 days I kept taping over and over again and gave a copy to people who were
Wow.
close to me because, I mean, the music, it is so lyrical. In fact, I would go even further. The music is part of the film. Let me put that first. It's diegetic, not just non-diegetic. It emanates within the film. So, for example, the name Van den Boedenmeier is visible on the blackboard for Véronique, and the children struggle to play on their instruments the very piece that Veronika died singing. Now,
Right.
Alexander hears the class through the window, which explains why he would play the recording of Veronika's swan song on the
Hmm.
phone to Véronique. The music
Yeah.
is already familiar to the French teacher.
Right.
Preisner's score structures the double life of Véronique. Oh, by the way, whose original title was The Choir Girl, but they were worried
Oh,
that it might be perceived as yet another Catholic film from Poland.
yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised
And by
if
the way,
they.
it begins with the central melody played on flute, and then introduces the choral segment during the credits.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
dramatically integrated score deepens when Weronika sits in on a rehearsal for which her friend is the accompanist.
Hmm.
Spontaneously and beautifully, she sings along with the male choir. The woman who has been conducting subsequently introduces Weronika to the conductor who is in charge of the competition.
Yeah.
They have discovered their star because the music of Van den Boedenmeier / Zbigniew Preisner was a magnet to her voice.
Yeah.
The orchestration is noteworthy during the concert sequence. There are two female soloists, two,
Okay.
and Weronika's voice intertwines harmoniously with a kind of musical double. Both voices carry the melody amid the support of the orchestra, suggestive perhaps of a soul making its way through life.
Yeah.
Now, I learned much more about the music of the Double Life of Véronique about 3 years ago. I don't know if the name Nicholas Britell is familiar to you or to your group, but
Yeah.
he is the famous Oscar-nominated composer of all of Barry Jenkins' films like Moonlight, If Beale Street Could Talk,
Yeah.
Underground Railroad, the films of
Right.
Adam McKay, like
Mm-hmm.
Don't Look Up. But he's also the composer for American television of Succession, the TV series
Oh.
has been
Oh,
so
okay.
popular.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, he was asked by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences to select a favorite film to present to an audience. And it would be at Metrograph, which is a New York movie theater downtown, where there
Mm-hmm.
was a piano on the stage. He chose
Right.
The Double Life of Véronique and requested that I be the moderator.
Wow.
I got to talk to him after a screening of The Double Life of Véronique in front of a very large audience. And he mentioned something that I never knew, partly because my knowledge of music theory is limited. He said that Preisner used something in the score called tritones.
Mm-hmm.
Tritones, they provide a harmonic complexity or instability. They're dissonant or unresolved intervals. And he explained to the audience and me that it consists of two notes that are six half steps away from one another.
Yeah.
He said that it lies between the least hard sounding intervals, the perfect fourth and the perfect fifth. Anyway, it divides the octave into two halves.
Right.
And I must say that the next time I watched The Double Life of Véronique, after that, all my concentration was on the score
That's
and
cool.
how it was literally the score that was either making me feel, oh, the lyricism, or, ooh, something's not quite right.
Yeah.
It adds a dimension of almost impending mourning.
Eeriness, kind of.
Yeah. So, that's one of the things that I'm so um, amazed by in terms of Preisner's composition. By the way, the next film that they made together was Three Colors Blue.
Okay.
And do not forget that music is the point of departure of that film because
Mm-hmm.
Juliette Binoche's character is married to a famous composer who has been commissioned to write a concerto for the
Yeah.
unification of Europe. And that
Yeah.
we hear that music throughout the film.
Right.
So I would go one step further, especially if you and your group see other Kieślowski films. For most movies, the shooting precedes the composition of the soundtrack of the score.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that Kieślowski and Preisner worked together, Preisner was almost co-screenwriter because he composed the score very often before the films were shot. So
Oh,
that for Three Colors Blue, Blue, White, Red, it was always going to be a concerto.
right.
No, for blue, I'm sorry, for Three Colors Blue. And
Yeah.
that concerto would be heard throughout the film. For Three Colors White, they decided that a tango would be perfect because
Mm-hmm.
it has a playfulness, and so does Three Colors White compared to the
Yeah.
darker other films.
Yeah.
And for Three Colors Red, a bolero, Bolero, like Ravel's
Yeah.
bolero. Da, da, da,
Yeah.
da, 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 da. And therefore, the music was completely integrated into the conception of the screenplay and it informed the shoot.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It seems like this movie has so many layers and like it is an art house movie, but I feel like it's also not one of those art house movies that is not accessible. It feels like if anyone watches this movie, if they're, I don't know, if they're into something like a classic Hollywood Avengers or something, they could still watch this movie and they would still feel something.
Yes, I mean, my motto, whether it's in my classroom with my Columbia students or with my friends or my husband, we must appreciate every single film within its own terms. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go into the Double Life of Véronique thinking that you're seeing an Avengers film. I mean,
Yeah.
you simply have to say, okay, I'm about to watch something that is more poetic than plot oriented, something that is more spiritual than action packed.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to want to see something like that. Otherwise, you will look at your date who brought you with a bit of anger for
Yeah.
having wasted your time because you wanted to see something more Hollywood. No,
Yeah.
but it is, I think, still anchored in Kieślowski's profound affection and respect for actors as well as characters, for
Mhm.
fallible human beings.
Yeah.
If there's a tone that comes through in all of his films, for me, it's one of a concrete humanism. He seems to have this compassionate view of human beings, but anchored in skepticism as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily all going to work out happy end. If this were a
Yeah.
Hollywood film, she'd end up with Alexandra,
Yes, of
presumably,
course.
because there
Of
is a pull there.
yeah.
But, she becomes leery that this puppeteer is exploiting her life
Mm-hmm.
for his own creative ends.
Yeah.
That's what stops her, which is very different from the way that, let's say, a Hollywood heroine would respond to a relatively sexy and
Mm-hmm.
talented man who is obsessed with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
You know,
The attention would be attracting enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to work with, and there are, by the way, there are political layers as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you consider these two heroines as Eastern and Western European versions of the same character, you realize one travels from a Polish province to Krakow,
Yeah.
the other from Clermont-Ferrand to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
There's a movement into the urban landscape,
Yeah.
despite that very physically anchored opening and ending of the film.
Right.
Um, and I love, right, that the doubling is not only Weronika and Véronique. Alexandre's work requires two puppets of the same character.
Mm-hmm.
At his home, Véronique discovers him making a marionette of her. Why
Yeah.
do, she asks? Because I touched them a lot during the show and one might be damaged, he replies.
Mm-hmm.
His spectacle is about doubling. The
Yeah.
ballerina wants to dance, seems to die, although Véronique later says the ballerina simply broke her leg,
Mm-hmm.
and reemerges as a butterfly. So here's
Yeah.
the question. Is Véronique able to fly precisely because Weronika falls?
Yeah.
Is the death of the Polish woman a warning to her French counterpart to stop singing?
Yeah.
Remember how Kieślowski includes a strange image after Alexandra first calls Véronique? She seems to see Weronika singing on the Polish stage and
Mm-hmm.
collapsing against a red background.
Yeah.
So here is where I offer the following idea. The film's central question seems to be blatantly metaphysical.
Mm-hmm.
Can there be, in God's spectacle, which includes individual damage, can there be a double who prepares us for survival? Or might some of us be the double who is setting the stage for another
Yes.
to live more wisely?
That is amazing.
That the double life of Véronique deals with mortality is particularly moving when we acknowledge Kieślowski's own death in 1996 at the age of 54 from a bad heart, the
Mm-hmm.
very ailment that kills Weronika.
Yeah. He also had was he dealing with mortality? Because I saw there were so many scenes of elderly people in the movie. And
Yep, the one other connection between the two heroines is that each is aware of an older person and tries to help them. That
hmm
continues, by the way, in three colors, blue, white, and red. And I
right.
asked Kieślowski about this at one point, and he said it's a reminder that if we get to live long enough, someday we too may not be able to reach something, to put a bottle in a recycling bin. It's an acknowledgement of
Yeah.
aging, of weakening, and of
Right.
mortality. Yeah.
Amazing.
But I'm going to make you one more suggestion because we don't have too much time. I think that perhaps the most provocative doubling in this film might be that of Alexandra and the filmmaker. Because
Ooh.
this magician is first seen amid lighting equipment at the school, like a
Mhm.
director, and then
Yeah.
tells his story via images of transformation.
Okay. It's
Look,
also very like he's in control of everything, right? Like he is, I believe, like I was wondering through the movie, like how did he find Veronique? Like how did he get her contact, or how did he, like he just saw her in the audience and he was just like he just knows.
yeah.
And so yeah.
Well, yes, he is an omniscient manipulator.
Hmm.
As when his van pulls up alongside Veronique while she's lighting a cigarette from the wrong end.
Yeah.
How observant he must be to notice this at night yet. He's mysterious.
Hmm.
Ultimately, and perhaps like Kieślowski, Alexandra's love for Veronique coexists with his exploitation of her. She runs
Yeah.
from him at the train station because she fears that his interest in her is schematic to serve his
Mhm.
book. He later convinces her otherwise, but in their last scene together, he has indeed made a puppet of her image and
Yeah.
written a text that, as he puts it, could be titled The Double Life of.
Yeah.
And bear with me for another moment. Like the director, he places the birth of his characters in 1966 and
Hmm.
details the early connections between the two girls. For example, one burns herself, and then the other instinctively recoils from the flame.
Yes. Yes. It's it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie.
He is the seductive agent of heightened perception. Maybe
Yeah.
he's an evolved soul, but he's finally abandoned by Veronique when she senses his poaching of her life for his own
Hmm.
events. And I think Kieślowski is questioning the combination of talent, love, opportunism, and guilt of the storyteller who uses real lives in his art.
It's amazing. I have no words. It's beautiful. So, since we're nearing the end of time, I just have one small question for you that I ask about like movies to all my guests. And that'll be, what do you think is the most Polish thing about this movie?
That is a good question. It's going to take me a moment to
No
find
worries.
the answer that should fit. I don't think of Kieślowski primarily as a Polish filmmaker, except for his early documentaries, which
Mhm.
captured the bleak reality of Łódź.
Mhm.
He was a student at the Łódź Film School.
Yeah.
And therefore, there is a certain kind of bitter irony, a cynicism that is very low key. He couldn't look under communism, he wasn't going to be able to critique all that much.
Of
But
course.
one of the most perfectly Polish lines I ever heard him say was when I interviewed him, this would have been in the late 1980s,
Hmm.
about whether he would consider any aspect of his films political. I mean, was there anything, and with his typical irony and pessimism, he put down his cigarette and said, "The day that I can buy easily toilet paper in a store in Poland, then we can talk politics." He didn't think in these political terms. He thought in very ordinary human terms, while
Yeah.
at the same time recognizing in daily ordinary details symbolic resonance, meaning beyond that.
Hmm.
It wasn't just to buy Polish toilet paper, it means that citizens have access to products and
Yeah.
that the system functions. And clearly, it wasn't functioning in the late 1980s. So
It's
the
just,
most Polish thing about the double life of Veronique, all right, I'm going to boil it down, but this is extremely reductive.
hmm
It is more Kieślowski than Polish, but it's part of Polish irony, which was necessary under communism. when Weronika is not feeling well in the street, and a man walks by and flashes her
Yeah.
and walks away. Now, huh? You may go, huh?
Yeah.
And that is a quirky detail that suggests something a bit louche in the streets of Poland.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I love that answer. I think this is amazing. I think my answer would be more simplistic, like, I don't know, the city of Krakow or something, but
Yeah.
this
No,
is
because
amazing.
you don't get to know the city that well. He's not
Yeah.
that interested in cityscapes, urban landscape.
Yeah.
He's interested in human beings,
Mm-hmm.
in watching a soul evolve, as he once put it.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I think that's a fantastic note to end on. I think
Okay.
this superb. So thank you so much for your time. This is like I would not have imagined it being nearly as good as it was so enlightening. It was so I just loved I think I love this movie so much now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
after the
The
after the
more, it's like with a human being, the more you get to know
yeah.
a person or a movie, if you're lucky, the more you will love it.
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like I feel like I want to go watch this again right now. Like
Go right ahead.
once the call is done, I think I'm gonna just search it online and then just go and watch it. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for this, and
Okay.
I hope you have an amazing time.
Thank
And
you. Bye-bye to you and your audience. Bye-bye.
bye. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to Krystyna Szpunt and Aleksandra Kabala for producing, Szymon Lazar, Zofia Skutnik, and the Radio LUZ team for their studio, audio engineering, and editing, and Agnieszka Smutek for promo and communications from the Wrocław Film Foundation. Feel free to write to us with your thoughts at Polish Cinema on Instagram, and check out more of Radio LUZ at radio_luz, that's LUZ, and don't stop watching movies.